Hi, it's Warren Hewitt here. Hope you're doing marvelously well. Today we're going to talk about a song called Colourblind by a band from Ireland called the Matthews. The Matthews are teenage brothers. I believe that the singer's 17 and the oldest brother is about 20 or 21. There's three brothers. They play every instrument and they're fantastic. And they flew over from Ireland and came here, and we made an EP which is going to come out any day. Now, every song we did a full band version, and we also did a stripped down acoustic version. So what we're going to start with here in this particular video is the stripped down version of a song called Colourblind. So as ever, let's check it out. Please subscribe. Go to producelikeapro.com and sign up for the email list. You get a whole bunch of free goodies. And you're also going to get information on our premium account, which will be launching soon. So thank you ever so much for watching. Let's check out the song. Okay, so this song is a very beautiful song. We started off actually with the rock version. So if you go up here, there's a lot of other schnizzle going on, all of which has been grayed out and is not being used. But we'll do that as another version. So this one here is very straightforward. There's a piano part, which was played by Jeff Babco. Jeff Babco is an incredible piano player. You know, rock and roll, but he's also a jazz player. He actually plays with Martin Short and goes out and does all of Martin's shows. And he's probably more well known as being Jimmy Kimmel's piano player. So next time you watch Jimmy Kimmel and you see a blonde guy playing piano, that's Jeff Babco, a wonderful player. So he recorded this at his own studio with a stereo mic. So the challenge with this song, when you're taking something really stripped down, is twofold. We didn't have a budget to have live strings, so we're going to take string samples and try and make them sound as real as possible. And then the other thing is there's a lot where you've got a full band track where you've got like all the guitars coming in and out and huge drums and all this kind of stuff. It's very easy to build the passion around the vocal, and this is a very impassioned vocal. So Jeff Babco, the piano player here, really went out of his way to try and help us a lot, and he did some great stuff. So this is his piano. Beautiful piano sound. Well, step from the... So as far as what we did on the piano here, EQ-wise, we've got a gentle roll-off at like 120. It's not stupidly steep, but it's there because that low rumble just gets in the way and we don't need it. There's a 3 dB boost at like just under 6K, but as you can see, it's just a gentle lift. We're using our old friend MV2 here. Take it off. It's a little too overly dynamic for me. I mean, you can hear, without it on, you can hear the high line. Some of that low movement on the left hand is gone, so you put it back on. See, that's where it really works. Listen to this. So, I love the MV2. And then after that, I'm doing a little bit more EQ, doing some 7K boost. Just a little air. The 550 is a really good sounding plugin. And then, believe it or not, another little bit of MV2. I'm doing a huge amount. As you notice, a lot of the times I like to compress, EQ, or EQ, compress, EQ, compress. You know, it's just like little gentle amounts each time is a lot more effective, for me at least, than doing one huge piece of EQ. I find that with a lot of compression and EQ, if it's done gradually, it's a little bit more invisible and doesn't screw up the sound quite so much. You know, but there are instances where I'll just take a really nice sounding EQ, especially on a console like a, 1073 EQ, and just boost it really heavily if I'm after something. But in this instance, there's a bit of boost and a bit of compression, a bit of boost, a bit of compression. Okay, now the piano verb is just a good old friend Reverb. Take it off. A huge amount. If I put this into pre for a second, I'll mute the piano auxiliary and you can hear just the verb on its own. Together. Off. Back on. Just the verb. As you can see the way the EQ is set here, the top end is gradually taken off there, just to help the actual... The thing is, when you get a lot of top end detail and reverbs, sometimes it's fantastic, like ambience on snare. Sometimes I'll actually go in and boost the top end. Other times it can make it a little messy, where you've got the high end of the instrument and then you've got a lot of high frequency reflections going on. It can get really messy. So in this instance, it's rolled off. Okay, the next thing that happens after the piano, of course, is the vocal comes in. And we're using all the same vocal tricks that we do, so you can check out the vocal tips video.
Well, step from the red to the blue, and out of that shadow of you. But
as you can see here on the first verse, the effects are really low. They're there, but they're only barely in. So it's a lot more intimate sounding with Jack, who's the singer, with him and the piano. It gives the illusion that it's him sitting with the piano.
Think I need an intervention of sorts, 'cause all I see is the past got a wall, and every shadow glass.
Okay, so what's creeping in there is some strings. Now, we had Dan Coe do the strings. Dan did a lot of the last Aerosmith album that I did. He's a great string arranger, and he did this all... I think Dan does everything in Digital Performer. A lot of string arrangers do when they're... Now, there's a couple of things I did, just simple things. I'm using the spread just to, and I'm using it pretty wide, as you can see there, just to make sure that there's room in the middle for the vocal. I do that quite often. Take it off. Put it back on. I often find with the spread as well, as it really throws the high end wide. So for strings, it's kind of nice because what it's doing is it's exaggerating the sort of bow sound. Because, you can get the pure tone of a string, like a violin sample, but sometimes that violin sample can sound very synthetic, and that air needs to be added. Now the string bus, where these are all going to, has a little dip here at 334, around about 350, and the tiniest amount of boost on the top end, which is actually muted. So it's just a low roll off here, keeping it out of the way of everything else. And then that little cut at 350. So there's not a lot of extra stuff going on the strings. His samples are really good that he's using. We didn't have the budget to use a real orchestra. You've got to do what you've got to do. Now Dan, obviously when he was doing a lot of the Aerosmith stuff, we had real players playing on them. It's low strings coming in. So this is the pre-chorus. The next thing that's coming in here is a stereo guitar part. It's just a Telecaster, just a simple Telecaster guitar part with a stereo delay on it. Cool, so let's listen to the end of the first verse going into the pre-chorus.
And every shadow glares at me.
Guitar creeps in with the low string.
I don't know who I am without you here. No, I don't know who you are anymore.
Cool. Now the other thing that's going on in the strings here are just some multi-effects. Not a great deal of stuff, but I've got the eventide reverb here, which I like on certain things a lot. I've had some fun with it. You can hear the strings. So we go to our string bus and do the same thing that we did with the vocals. Let's go into pre and mute it. you'll see a nice trick I'm doing. So that's the eventide reverb on its own, without it. It's a pretty natural reverb. It's only got a second's worth of decay on it. Try to keep it out of the way of the piano verb, but you'll see another little trick I've done. Let's just take off this. Let's keep the pre on for a second, and then, I was talking about the air on the strings. Well, I'm using our old friend here, the Morphoda, and this is the Morphoda on its own. Pretty evil. It's like the vocal whisper trick that I do. On its own, it's pretty horrible and evil, but what it does is it gives us the extra bow, the air, because the samples can sound a little synthetic. I highly recommend doing this. Without it, it's nice, but with it on, with it off, and back on. So it's a subtle thing, but I really like it. It adds, it just adds some air. Like I was talking about earlier, the thing with string samples is if they're very pure and they're just a note, there's all that randomness of bows and stuff, and multiple players playing. So I think there've been real string players mic'd up with real mics, not an issue at all. But when you're talking about using samples, anything you can do to help there. Okay, so let's check out the chorus where we've got the guitar and the strings playing together.
If I can fight, if I can fall, if I can hurt and hold on, if I can see through your lies, broken and blue, because of you I'm blind.
And you'll notice that the vocal effects have come up considerably here. They come up in the pre-chorus and the chorus.
I'm just colorblind, 'cause I should know what to say, but the words don't come easy.
So there's a little highline string idea that comes in here for the reintro. And it's a harmony to this low string part that plays from the reintro through. And it just adds some movement and momentum, because this is a piano vocal song. And quite often, if you've got like only legato strings playing, it can get a little, melancholy and depressing, which is fine, but it can also slow down considerably. So this is adding a little.
'Cause I should know what to say, but the word. If you leave, I'm trying to stay in my heart.
So it's playing through the whole second verse. As you can see, the harmony part comes back in against it. Pre-chorus, high strings coming in with the low.
I don't know who I am without you here. No, I don't know who you are anymore. If I can fight, if I can fall.
And with the chorus, just following the vocal melody, keeping the string arrangement quite simple. I mean, we have that movement there going on in the second verse and the second pre-chorus. So the chorus part is following with the That's completely supporting the vocal melody.
If I can fall, if I can hurt and hold on, if I can see through your lies, broken and blue, because of you I'm blind.
Same thing, supporting the vocal melody.
I'm just colorblind.
Bridge.
Oh, I know that we've been here this time. But I don't know why. Maybe, baby, I'm just calling.
Breakdown.
I don't know who I am without you here. No, I don't know who
Yeah, no, it's just piano's driving through instrumental section.
If I can fight, if I can fall, if I can hurt and hold on, if I can see through your lies, broken and blue, because of you I'm blind. I'm just colorblind. Maybe, baby, I'm just colorblind.
Beautiful. I mean, I love what Jeff's doing here on the end here, just the way he completely changes up the post-chorus section.
Because of you, I'm blind. I'm just colorblind. Maybe, baby, I'm just colorblind.
Beautiful. Thanks ever so much for watching. Please, as ever, leave some questions and comments below. Subscribe, and of course go to producelikeapro.com and sign up for the email list for a bunch of free goodies and information on future things happening. Now, this song, we're going to do a part 2 of this song, and we'll show you all of the drums and the guitars and everything. But this was a real challenge because it was all about taking a very passionate vocal that was sung over massive guitars and drums and recreating that with minimal amounts of instruments. All you have is a stereo guitar, strings, and a piano. And I really feel like the piano part in particular that Jeff Babco did, and we did work with him quite intensely on it, but he really brought the passion for it. As ever, please leave any comments and questions below. And you know, how have you done this kind of stuff, where you've taken a very simple song with just maybe a vocal acoustic, a vocal piano, a vocal electric, with or without strings, just something where it's minimal amount of instruments, but you still wanted the power and the passion in there. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the various different ways that you can record and mix to create that, and the parts that you've come up with. As you can see, this was very driven from Jeff Babco's incredible piano part. He's a very talented piano player, obviously, but it wasn't so much about the technical stuff as the fact that the very simple, kind of powerful arrangement stuff, especially what he did at the end of that song there. So please share your experiences and ask any kind of questions, and thank you ever so much for watching, and have a marvelous time recording.